Today I'm making some British vegan currant biscuits. They're generally known as Garibaldi biscuits. And as you know, biscuits in England are kind of cookies that they eat with their tea. And I grew up eating these. Of course, they weren't vegan, but I loved them because they're not too sweet and they're kind of crispy like a cracker, and they have currants in them and they're so delicious. So I can't wait to show you guys these, and they're super easy. So watch, we just have a bowl and these ingredients, and then we roll them out and bake them and then enjoy them. So let's get started. We're gonna put our flour first. Of course, we're gonna do our dry ingredients as we always do. Sugar, baking powder, and just a pinch of salt. And then that's it. So we're gonna whisk that around. This is gonna make maybe, I don't know, 12 biscuits. They're kind of the size of the little piece of graham crackers that you used to break off as a kid. It doesn't make a lot, but you can always double the recipe. Okay, and now from here, we're gonna put our butter. I'm doing as low a fat version as possible. So I'm using half yogurt and half butter. I have just a couple tablespoons of butter. That's it for the whole recipe. And the rest I'm doing yogurt. Okay, so first we gotta get this mixed in with our hands. And you want, as always with any dough, you just want to get this crumbly. The butter has to be cold so that when it gets into the flour, it doesn't melt into the flour. You actually want little chunks of butter in there. And can you see how you see the butter still in there? And of course the yogurt is a good replacement instead of using all butter because it has fat in it made from a whole food, which is the best kind of fat and avoids too much of the oil fat. That's looking pretty good. Do you see how it's still very chunky? That's what we want because we don't want that butter to break all down. Okay, that looks good. And now we're gonna add the milk. I have soy milk. It's just a couple tablespoons. I think it's 3 tablespoons, but I added a little vinegar to make it buttermilk. Always makes it thick and gives it that little acidity, and vanilla. And now that should come together into a nice ball. So that's what we're looking for here, is to bring it all together. It's often best to use one hand so you don't get both dirty. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a cover on it, and then I'm gonna put it in the fridge for 30 minutes because I wanna get it cold again, then it's easier to roll out. Okay, the dough is cold now, and we are going to roll it out. So first, we're gonna start by sprinkling some flour onto our parchment paper. I have a long piece of parchment paper here because I'm gonna roll it out bigger than I want it on the tray, because then I'm gonna fold it over. Now we're gonna push this down, turn it over. I always like to flour my rolling pin and my hands. And now we're gonna begin rolling. You're doing your best to try to make it into a rectangle. You're going to bake it right on this paper, so you don't have to worry if you can lift it up and move it around. You just move the parchment paper around. The goal is to get this about a 1/4 inch thick. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to take our currants. Black currants, I love, in England, they have so many candies and things. I remember as a kid, black currant. You don't get that in America. So I learned to really love black currants. And like this, to me, they're better than raisins. I put them in my salad. We're gonna fold this over, so you're looking to do this on half. Okay, now you're gonna take this part and you're just gonna fold it over. And now we roll it out. I'm gonna use this one. So now we're going to score them, and we're just going to put this on our baking tray and pop it in the oven. You don't need to cut these all the way through, because when they're cooked, we're going to just break them. Okay, that looks good. And now we're going to slide these onto our tray. And we are going to brush the top with a little bit of soy milk. I mixed some maple syrup in here because you can also sprinkle with a little sugar, but it's nice to have a little glaze. This is going to help them brown. Like I always do on my baking recipes, I like to brush with soy milk. I've got the oven preheating to 350 right now, and we are going to put them in. Between 10 and 15 minutes, they should be ready. Okay, that's it. Let's get those in the oven, 350 for 15 minutes. I'm going to check them at 10. They need to be golden. And once they're done, they have to cool because they won't be crispy until they cool. And it's not a biscuit unless they crunch. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Okay, I took them out of the oven and put them in the freezer. And now they are ready, because you want to be able to have them chilled, because you need to be able to break them and they need to be a little bit crunchy before you eat them. So let's see how they turned out. So the first thing you want to do, let's start on this end. And you just see how they break like this? That's cool. Awesome. Those crumbs, Hear that crunch? That's perfect. So that's how they should look, like this. And let's get them going on here. And of course, because I get impatient to do my taste test, then I don't wait till they're fully cooled. You can see these ones are a little bit softer, but in the fridge, they'll go right nice and crunchy. And this is very traditional of a Garibaldi biscuit, where you see the edges are kind of rough. They're not perfectly cut. I have this one, hold on. This one, I want to get the, that's good. Okay, so how about that? Beautiful, that's fantastic. My neighbor's British and my mom used to love these. We had these a lot when we were little kids, but you gotta have them with a cup of tea, because tea and biscuits, now that's British. So let me grab my kettle and I'm gonna put my tea bags in there. I love Earl Grey tea. So sometimes I have only Earl Grey, but if I'm craving a milk tea, I mix the Earl Grey with it. British English breakfast or just afternoon tea, often decaffeinated. Ah, this is how I remember it with my mom in the afternoon. And she'd always say, Deb, do you want a nice cuppa? That's how they say it in England. So here, cheers to you guys. Oh, nothing like a good old cup of tea. That's what my mom would always say. All right, now for the biscuit. Sometimes you can dunk them in, but first I want to try it like this. Wow. Typically, you know, these are really buttery. And because I want to eliminate a lot of the fat, I don't know where I got the original recipe years ago when I made it, but I always tweak recipes because I'm always taking out the fat or the eggs or whatever. And this is really good. It's still buttery. And I think that the yogurt that I put in, which makes up for some of the butter, is nice because it's a natural fat. Wow. That is really a good vegan biscuit. Very authentic British. Awesome. Approved. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks. I'll see you next week.